Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the third edition of the Block and Key webinar series. Our topic for today, as all of you are probably already aware, is the role of associations in growing the Web3 ecosystem. We're specifically looking at associations within the APAC and MENA region, and I have some fantastic guests lined up today, all of who are playing very, very important roles in building their local as well as global, ecosystems for Web3. So first up, as today's speakers, we have Mr. Dilip Chinoy. Dilip Chinoy, welcome, sir.
Thank you. Pleasure
Always
to
a
be here.
pleasure. Yes. For those of you who are not initiated with Mr. Chinoy, he is the chairperson for Bharat Web3 Association. He's had an illustrious career serving as the Secretary General of the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, which is FICCI. Thereafter, he's been the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the National Skill Development Corporation. He's been the Director General of the Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers, that's SIAM, and he's been the Deputy Director General of the Confederation of the Indian Industry, which is CII. All of these big names from the Indian ecosystem. Decades of experience in leading domestic industry bodies. Mr. Chenoy is a renowned figure in the policy domain, in the government circles, and in the highest echelons within the Indian ecosystem, right? Welcome, sir. It's an absolute pleasure having you here today.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure being here. And thank you for that introduction. A lot of all of this past and what we do in the future is what determines us.
Fantastic. That's the spirit we would like to keep alive as we keep growing, sir. Thank you so much for that. Next up, we have Suzanne Morsfield. Dr. Suzanne is a policy advisor for Crypto UK, which is one of UK's leading association. She has over 20 years of international experience in corporate reporting and regulation and has specifically focused on digital assets. Welcome, Suzanne.
Thank you.
So, Suzanne has also been the global head of accounting solutions for Luca, which is a company serving institutions and governments engaged with crypto assets. She's held analysis roles at Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan. She's been an auditor at EY. She served as the director of research at Columbia Business School's Center for Excellence in Accounting and Security Analysis. She's contributed to the London School of Economics, New York University, many other US universities, and she holds a PhD from the University of Arizona. It's a fantastic pleasure having you today with us, Suzanne. Next up, we have Asi. Asi, are you? Yes. So wonderful to see you, Asi. Asi is a doctoral candidate in anthropology and holds a master's in management with nearly 5 years of experience in the blockchain industry. She's actively involved in several international engagements. She also serves as a council member of the International Digital Asset Exchange Association, IDAXA, and is on the executive committee of the ASEAN Blockchain Consortium. As the executive director of the Indonesia Blockchain Association, Asi supports Indonesian policymakers and business leaders in developing regulatory approaches around blockchain implementation. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be with us today, Asi. Welcome to the panel.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Next up, we have Faisal Zaidi. Faisal is the co-founder of Crypto Oasis and serves as the chief marketing officer as well. He's also the chair for the Middle East, chair of the Middle East for the Crypto Valley Association, which is based out of Switzerland, right?
Yes, out of Zug.
Out of Zug, yes. Recognized as an outstanding chartered marketing professional, Faisal has garnered awards for several marketing initiatives, and he has over 15 years of experience in B2B, B2C products, marketing them across real estate, big data, research, construction, manufacturing, and he has held several roles in Germany, South Africa, Qatar, and the UAE. Faisal has had the interesting, his contribution has been towards landmark projects like Burj Khalifa, the Dubai Metro, and he's also played a pivotal role in launching Mo Asher. Did I say that right, Faisal?
Moasha. Yep.
Sure. Which is Dubai's first official house price index.
Yes.
And I was just reading up a bit about Mo Asher, and looks like there's been fantastic numbers on the real estate side, and Dubai has been really becoming a hotbed for investments across the globe.
Well, it did increase. So the purpose behind the index essentially was to increase transparency of the Dubai market alongside the global market. And it helped Dubai move up from place number 40 to place number 36, which is almost transparent.
Fantastic. And I think it's just the beginning, and you're only going to hear more and more about how Dubai's real estate industry is going to be a great investment haven, right? Especially with a lot of things around the tokenization piece as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here today. Next up is Ala Haddad. Ala wears many hats within the Web3 industry. He's done community management, product development in DeFi. He's dealt in tokenized assets. He also drives a lot of social events. Has been an investor. Is that right? Has been an investor, or is a part of the investments space within Web3 and digital assets? Ala,
Yep.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for doing all that you do to drive the Web3 ecosystem. Ala? Yeah. All right. So with that out of the way, we'll dive right into our topic for today. So starting with when you talk about associations, there is always some sort of a either it's a wide gap that one sees in the ecosystem, or there is a burning need to try and do a set of coordinated activities to try and get people together towards achieving certain objectives. So my first question to all of you here is what led you to think or to start forming the associations, or to become a part of the associations that you guys are a part of? What was that that one trigger point that made you decide that we should do an association, or I want to be a part of an association, or the Web3 industry needs an association? We'll start with you, Suzanne.
Yeah, it's a wonderful question, and in fact, the whole topic of today I just think is phenomenal, and I'm so grateful to you to do this event. So while I sit on the policy advisor role for Crypto UK, I got to know it by being a member, by joining. Luca joined several years ago, and so I would say, just to keep it short, we joined because of the opportunity to be with other like-minded folks, to learn sort of the needs in the UK in particular, and to have a voice where our voice collectively as part of the membership would be bigger than just our single voice.
So the community aspect and the coming together of like-minded people to sort of put the voice out. Dilip sir, what about you? What was the genesis of Bharat Web3 Association?
So the BWA actually came out of a larger association called the Internet and Mobile Association of India, and it was a kind of a small council within that. And we had a kind of a legal battle with the regulator who had banned all sorts of activities in this space. So I think the parent association was not too keen on having members here, so they actually moved out and formed their own association, really to work with the other stakeholders to position India as a major center of Web3. We didn't call it crypto, unlike Susan, which is Crypto UK, Crypto OS is right. Neither did you go to blockchain as he did, but we chose the acronym Web3 because we felt it is much more of a larger application there, and we got players across different parts of the Web3 ecosystem to come together and form the association. and Susan with Crypto UK, we dream that we can form an all-party parliamentary group in India, also like you have done there. We have some good examples that we have got there, and I think the work that you're doing in Indonesia and ASEAN is also very interesting. India not being a member of ASEAN is there, but ASEAN plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, whatever. But BW is also collaborating with similar bodies across the world to actually collate information on regulation and what's happening there, to basically promote the growth in India and educate the regulators on what's happening around the world.
Fantastic. Asi, what about you? What was the genesis?
Thank you. Yep. Thank you, Manhar. It's really an honor to share the stage with all these industry associations. It's not really something usual. So yeah, to answer your questions, I think it's we started casually actually. We started at 2017, and there were only like 7 related blockchain related companies back then in Indonesia, and we thought that it's good to have, just like Susan shared, how have a one home where we can share our thoughts, sharing about what we challenges that we're facing. And I also remember back at 2017 there was like a Bitcoin reached one of its all-time high, so there's a spike of users in Indonesia, and usually when the users getting in, then the regulators started to like pay more attention to it, and so I think we started it's like a good decision. So since then, we have been playing a very important role to help our regulators to, regulate the blockchain and crypto ecosystem in Indonesia. And then we also see that I think since the industry is growing, so the demands of talent is also growing, and we work closely with a lot of universities now. So I think really it's a good decision to have this association in Indonesia. We started pretty early, and we also now have quite a good connection globally to really showcase our local projects to to being acknowledged. So yeah, I think I'm going to stop there for now.
So how many members today from 7 members or 7?
Now we have now we have more than 70 corporate members, but in terms of the system, we have more than 200 active projects. So it's a progress.
It's come a long way. Yes.
Yeah.
Faisal, what about you? What prompted you to sort of start engaging with Crypto Valley and putting together crypto?
So Crypto Valley's been it's been active way before my time, right? Before I got into the whole Web3 field. But growing up, or even working, you've had the CIPD, you've got the Chartered Institute of Marketing, you've got RICS, the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. So looking at real estate and looking at data and looking at marketing, there was always these associations that helped you upskill yourself, that taught you, just courses on how to improve yourself in a certain industry, and then gave you a qualification at a point. I think we're missing that part right now in our Web3 associations, but there was a qualification that you could get through them as well, and it always kept you up to date. Like I graduated 15 years ago, right? But to keep up with the qualifications and the changes in time, these are the associations that helped at that point. And they also brought a level of trust that was transferable from the association. Like, all right, someone's associated to this particular entity, you'd automatically have a level of trust that, all right, there's been some vetting that's done. And I think that's one of the main reasons that associations in Web3 do really well, is because everyone's looking at some sort of association, and by association I mean like some sort of link with organizations and people they're interacting with that can bring a level of trust. And that's why when we created Crypto Oasis in the UAE, we were primarily set up to help organizations get licenses, help organizations set up in the UAE. And the number of organizations that came in, like I think it was like 800 that came in the first year and set up over here. And then you had all of these founders that came in with the ideas, knew a few people, but there wasn't one common ground where you could bring all of them together. And to do that, just like the commonplace that Susanna had said, we did events. We did, I think, about 150 events between Switzerland and the UAE, giving people a place to talk, a place to get together, a place to,
Network
work together and get associated. And one of the main roles that I've seen from our point of view is because we were associated with all different angles of the ecosystem, and that's government and investors and startups and institutions and banks and exchanges. When someone would come and sit down with us, we would know exactly what was missing and where we could send them and who we could connect them to. So from our part as an association, there was this responsibility, and this is why people came and sat with us as well, as we could help them get connected a lot faster than if they went on that journey themselves.
No, absolutely. Okay, and Ala, you've come back right on time. Are you able to hear us, Ala?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm having a bit of internet connection problem, but I think now is fine. In terms of getting into like associations and kind of community, Hub 71 that I'm representing at the moment is a government-backed initiative to build a tech ecosystem in Abu Dhabi. And what I'm focusing on is building out the Web3 community and ecosystem there. One thing that Faisal might echo as well is that there's a lot of players in the UAE, a lot of players in Dubai, a lot of players in Abu Dhabi, but they're kind of disjointed. And from regulations, from working with each other, from developing together. And the initiative now is kind of how do you bring the regulator, builders, investors, all on the same table, so we can build out the ecosystem together. Because there's a lot of talent, but and a lot of people who are building, but it's still not as close as other, let's say, places around the world where you see more people doing more things together. So that's kind of what we're doing at Hub 71. What I'm really passionate about is building, like in parallel to the decentralized world, some sort of regulated on-chain ecosystem that improves financial access to people in the UAE and beyond.
We can't hear you.
Manar, we can't hear you.
So sorry. Yeah, so I'm saying along with some of the reasons of why you guys sort of got into the association, we've also got a gist of what are some of the things that you guys offer. That leads me to think, to all the startup builders, to all the founders, to all the executives from Web3 businesses or from non-Web3 businesses who might be hearing us today. What are some of the things that you would want to highlight to them as part of what your associations can offer to them today, and what your ecosystems, as you're seeing it from your individual vantage point, what are some of the fantastic things that your ecosystems and your associations can offer to these people? Open to anyone who want to go first.
I can.
All right. Ladies first.
I think
No, that's okay. Well, I was just going to start because we have this interesting sort of challenge in our ecosystem coming up. That's also an opportunity, which is we have a major election coming up, and so it is possible that it's a new government, and then you have new people to engage with, new policymakers, new politicians, and so that's a challenge, but also an opportunity. So we'll have this period of transition if there is, a lot of change in who is in the various roles. But that's what makes sort of the association so relevant, in my opinion, is because we're timeless. We are, and I think that's true for all of us on the call, where whatever, locality we're in, is we're timeless. We are going to be there, no matter what happens, or no matter who's in government, who's not, changes that come, we will have the the good of the Web3 community, and Crypto UK goes by crypto in the title, but really we're thinking always of the broader community. And so no matter what, we're going to be looking for opportunities to keep engaging, keep representing the wide membership. We are up to 160 members who are actively involved. And so we try to really have an influence on the government policies and regulations, as well as create a sense of community. It is, like I said, what drew me to Crypto UK and drew me to cross over to the other side, if you will, was the sense of community, but also the sense of engagement and really wanting to represent even more than just the members, but the greater good of the Web3 policies and approaches and the environment we're all operating in. And so I think a reason to join any of our associations is to combine all of those things: the advocacy with governments and regulations and policies, the sense of community, the education. We've touched on, is we learn from each other. It's an opportunity for education, and so I think we all bring that to the table in each of our areas that we're working in. So.
And having an election helps. So like chaos is a ladder, they say.
yeah.
Okay, Faisal.
So exactly what Suzanne said, and being part of an association, let's talk about Crypto Oasis for a minute. It's the trust element that I was talking about before. Mm-hmm. That's something that you come in and you already have that because of all the other firms that are part of it. So that brings you a level of trust. It also adds a level of credibility to startups that are just starting up, because when you look at the industry, it's fairly nascent, right? It hasn't been around for so long. So you have people from the real estate industry, people from agriculture, people from automotive that are jumping into this industry and coming up with a unique idea. So they don't really have a track record in this particular frame. And when you're part of an association, because everyone goes through a vetting process, right? Like you want to check out what they're working on, if they're doing the right things or not. And that helps them get them a level of credibility as well, where, all right, so you're a part of this association. And I can just give you an example, like with RICS, which is the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. After they've done their entire vetting process, they give you a label, which is RICS Tech, which takes you one level above all the other real estate tech there is in the market. And with Crypto Oasis, like when people know, because we've got an investment arm as well, we've got a games guild, we've got an ESG support group called the Green Block that helps with AI and Web3 in ESG. So we've created, individual verticals in the ecosystem that helps each and every type of product or type of project there is. Just touching on the Green Block, which is purely on ESG, we have the likes of BIA, Siemens, BMW, E.ON, and Roland Berger. Now these are giant organizations from all over the world, and what helps the startups that become a part of the Green Block is you get to sit down with government, you get to sit down with BMW and Siemens at a notice call, which if they were doing themselves would have taken them ages, right? So that also, I think, is something that associations bring together. They help you in your journey wherever it's gone.
Yeah, true to the word associations, right? They help you get those right associations. Dilip sir.
Yeah, thanks, Manar. It's great listening to Susan and Faisal. That I think. First, of course, what is common is you're creating a community, right? You're creating a community of diverse sets of firms and diverse set of founders at various levels of, their progress in the journey. Or, you could have a large firm or you could have just a startup there to come together and actually share perspectives and to share what are the challenges that they're facing. And then to distill out of that and take to the appropriate entity, whether it's a regulator, whether it's a financial institution, or whether it is the central bank, or whatever it is, right? And try and convey to them what they could do to help grow this industry. Here in India, we face a very peculiar challenge. But although if you've actually read Chris Dixon's book, when he talks about the casino and the computer, I think in India we are tackling the challenge of the casino, and everybody kind of associates this industry with the trading infrastructure, and therefore the prevention of money laundering and the terrorist financing, and, all of that bit, rather than what it can do for the economy, what are the use cases that are there. And then, we also have a federal structure. I think we are pretty unique. I think Indonesia, I'm not too sure whether you have a federal structure. I think you also have a federal structure there, where the state governments, and we have 30 states, we engage with them, and we're trying to promote use cases at the state level. We are trying to promote sandboxes where people can experiment, because a lot of this is very, very new. Primarily looking at three things, collaborating. Second is educating the different stakeholders on what it means. And the third is promoting this industry. And, Faisal also mentioned the certification type of thing here. And what we actually find is that even a lot of people who are not active in India, some layer one chains, etc., are coming into India and approaching universities and education institutions and promoting people to develop applications on their tech, right? So we also support that initiative. Susan, we've all just had an election and we have a new government in place. Interestingly, our results came out on the 4th and your elections on the 4th, exactly 1 month later. So we are, while there's some sort of continuity in the system, but we, as when governments change and you have new ministers, our ministers are more or less the same, but we need to, put in a new set of kind of representations and things like that. Just this morning, India time, we actually were with the finance ministry presenting our views on the budget and taxation issues. What we try and tell everybody is it's better to be associated with one association and make that kind of the voice, and rather than splinter and go off to different groups and try to do things individually. So that's our focus is there. We are industry led, we are industry run, we are a not-for-profit entity. So that's how we are structured.
Thank you. Asi, what about you? What are you seeing from your vantage point in Indonesia, and what can ABI offer to everybody who's watching this?
I think not particularly the ABI could, offer something, but I think the market really offers, how big the market is in Indonesia, the population, right? So it's something that is, I think, very interesting for a lot of countries to get into. And the unique thing is that since our regulators are always trying to update their regulation and policies related to blockchain or crypto, I think it's safe to say that it's very limited to find a law firms who are really aware of the update of the policy. So we usually play that role to, being the one to socialize the new policies, new regulations that we have. And even we work with our regulators to come up with, let's say, a positive list of token that can be traded in Indonesia, something like that. So I guess that's something that is we've been trying to do. And I think just like what the other colleagues mentioned about, striking the balance between the needs of the industry players when it comes to innovations, but at the same time to understanding the concern of our regulators about customer protections, for example. So I think we usually try to come up with a win-win solution. So something that, they can do, the regulator can do, they can monitor the industry, but at the same time the innovations can grow. Just like I think it's being mentioned that I think in Indonesia now we have a regulatory sandbox, which is I think is very positive for any health sector technologies and innovations, and blockchain is one of the technologies that's being explored a lot now. So I think that's what we try to offer to the industry locally, or even from a officer's perspective.
Sure. So staying up to date on all the changes in the legal aspects, all the policy, and sort of being the go-to person for that, for breaking it down and helping businesses with that. Fantastic. Ala, what about you? Your perspective?
Yeah, so Hub 71 is quite unique in terms of positioning because, as Faisal was saying, like having the right set of partners makes it quite valuable for startups. So, for example, the Hub 71 Digital Asset Program is partnered up with First Abu Dhabi Bank, which is the largest bank in the UAE by assets under management. It's partnered up with ADGM, which is the regulator, Abu Dhabi Global Markets. We have partners, like also blockchain partners such as Solana, Sui, Circle, and a few others. So whenever a new company tries to come into the program, what's really interesting is that, okay, I have an idea about, like, let's say, a new type of tokenized asset, so digitally native assets, for example. How can I work directly with a bank and the regulator to fit my solution or offer my solution in a way that really hasn't been tried before? So this is kind of one of the nice things about what we offer as an ecosystem. So the right access, the right positioning to partners. Obviously, Hub 71, since it's a Mubadala initiative, there is some investment that goes into startups and companies that apply to the program and join the program. And if you don't join the program, you still get access to a community. We kind of host events every couple of weeks that bring people together, and we've seen a lot of people kind of meet people within their field or their industry and end up collaborating on different things. So that's kind of what the value prop of Hub 71 is, mainly positioning, access, and really, just vibes in terms of people getting together and learning about each other.
Fantastic. So it would be fair to call Hub 71 an incubator / accelerator, or?
Yeah, so the positioning is it differs because Hub 71 traditionally has been an accelerator program, but recently last year the Hub 71 Plus digital asset vertical was launched. So the digital asset vertical acts one as an accelerator, but also a community space for more people to join in and do things. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so Dilip sir, you briefly touched upon the tax situation in India, which is very very challenging, specific to India. That just leads me to think: do we all have within our own regions, something that's uniquely challenging, and something maybe that's uniquely interesting or beneficial? So we'll start with you, Dilip sir. We know taxes. Is there anything else that's uniquely challenging about the India ecosystem and challenge that Bharat Web3 faces or has to?
I think thanks Manar, and if you look at the whole ecosystem, right, and if you look at both sides, you look at the developer ecosystem and you look at the people who really are looking at it as an investment vehicle, right? Both face very similar challenges. First, in the ability to access tokens, right? Because it's a very complicated process. You can't use regular banking channels or direct banking channels to actually access tokens or do that. Even if you're a developer, even if you want to buy to stake for building an application or participating to become validated node or whatever it is, the whole and they face the same challenge if you are actually using it as an investment vehicle. Related to that is the taxation kind of issue, because we have a 1% tax deducted at source. So if you do every transaction, the exchange or the buyer has to deduct 1% and deposit it into an account, and that actually creates a challenge, because this is a very dynamic world, and you need not have an exchange located in India. There are different kinds of exchanges. There are centralized exchanges, there are decentralized exchanges. There are exchanges that are based in India, there are overseas exchanges. Some allow P2P, some don't allow P2P, some are custodial exchanges, some are non-custodial exchanges. So the entire ecosystem, and if you have exchanges or other entities located in your jurisdictions and they're not into India, they're kind of violating the law by deducting tax and not allowing sharing information of citizens in our jurisdiction, right, with the regulators in our jurisdiction. Two things have happened in the past. One is the G20 kind of agreement where they have agreed, and incidentally, everyone on this call is actually a member or an invitee to G20, right? So we've all been part of that whole discussion, where they're looking at sharing information of holding of assets, VDAs amongst each other, and sharing suspicious transactions, etc. So that becomes a big challenge for which we are trying to solve, in addition to the 1% TDS, because it's not on the profit you make, it's on the transaction. So if you start with 100 units in the beginning of the day, and if you make only 0.5 profits on each transaction, you might actually end up with 95 units at the end of the day, plus your profit, and a lot of that money being deducted as taxes. So I think here it's very important for us to collaborate across jurisdictions, because going forward, we need to also have a common understanding of tokens. What are virtual digital assets, right? Okay. Abu Dhabi, he's dropped off now, but I'm sure he'll join. They are talking about working very closely with the banking institutions. That's a very interesting thing there. So these are some of the challenges, and what's interesting, if we can all collaborate. Manar, you're aware that I keep quoting the example of the 250 whitelisted tokens in Indonesia as a model actually work. I don't know if it's gone up. Asim, you may correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a very interesting model. And while they thought of setting up their own centralized exchange, they've also allowed the other exchanges to coexist there. So we have a taxation issue and a regulatory issue, because you are taxed. You have to report into entities, but are you legal? Are you not legal? There's still a gray area.
Okay. And any highlight, anything that makes the India ecosystem stand out?
I think hopefully everyone, I think what's happened is the whole compliance regime with the PMLA, which is the Financial Intelligence Unit, and the cooperation and leadership that they have shown, right, to enable reporting entities in India to be able to comply, right? Hopefully,
these are the people who sort of they report into FATF, right?
Yes, they report into FATF. So we're expecting the FATF report to come out any moment soon, right? And hopefully, let's see what it says about India. Let's see what it says about India, and that could be a highlight going forward there. And also, I think the highlight here was, our ability to get all the G20 people and coordinate with the IMF and the Financial Stability Board, right? Get papers out, and we as BW actually commented on all of those papers, right? And we actually gave feedback there. And we would love to actually work with all of you, on this screen, really, to share experiences and take it forward.
Fantastic. Susan, what about you?
Sure. I'm going to echo just what Mr. Chinoy said, probably for the most part. There's very similar challenges here. Access, I would say access to the financial system. Debanking is a common sort of concern here that's raised. If you just touch something in the crypto asset sphere, you can suddenly get a letter that says your bank account is closed. So access to really traditional financial services and transactions. I'd say access to professional services. Can you get an auditor, a good, high quality auditor to come in is also a challenge. And so I think the overarching, insurance. There's all these sort of things that are traditionally a part of being a startup or being a new business or a growing business or a mature business. And so one of the things we look for is to talk about a level playing field, something that is just consistent across whatever type, not picking winners or losers in an industry, or pick an industry as a winner or loser, but have a level playing field to let new industries thrive, new technologies thrive. And so I think we probably all share that challenge. I think looking for regulation that's proportional and fit for purpose. Most of everyone who's a good actor in this space, and that's mainly all I ever see, frankly, want regulation, but they want it to be proportional and fit for purpose, and not just a copy and paste of something we already have, or slap the word crypto asset or Web3 into existing regulation. You want to be sure that it actually is appropriate for and I think that's an ongoing challenge, but that's a role for all of our associations to play, is to make sure we're interacting. And an opportunity and a really good thing here is the government and the policymakers and regulators really do engage with the industry. So they have regular roundtables. Right. Crypto UK is present at them. Others in the industry, they're very, very interactive. They want to hear, they want to talk to us. They'll pick up the phone if we call, kind of thing. And I think that is really a wonderful thing about the UK, along with, we talked about or touched a little earlier, is our all-party approach, so that you are crossing political lines and not focusing on division, but how can you bring parties together? And so we have a group that Crypto UK is what's called the Secretariat of, that will have to be reformed because of the new changes in the government, but we're always there trying to be very collaborative right at the source, and there's a mechanism to do that here, which I think is a wonderful thing about the UK.
Lovely. Faisal?
So the challenges, like they've been covered in excessive detail, and those are the same challenges that you have over here. Like, you could set up a company, but it's going to be really difficult for you to get a bank account. And one of the other challenges that I think might be unique just to Dubai is that because it is a tourist hub as well, right? We've had the likes of Token 2049 come over here and have their event. You have several international events that happen over here. And you have players that come in for those events, which is, have that marketing approach. And then by the end of it, they're all gone as well. So that might be a challenge, that you have players coming in and leaving as soon as the hype is done. But one of the more positive things over here, which I don't think happens in a lot of other countries, is Hub 71 is part of that, is you have a push from the government, you have a push from the royal family, you have the push from the Crown Prince's office, from him directly. Like, they just opened the Dubai AI campus and announced the Dubai AI and Web3 Festival. They had an AI retreat with over 2,000 AI professionals, I think a couple of weeks ago, and then they appointed 26 chief AI officers in top government positions in all different sectors of the government. And then you had the Metaverse Assembly, you've had the AI Assembly. And so there is an actual push from the government to attract founders and projects from all over the world. I can tell you this, in 2021, we started working with the DMCC, which is the Dubai Multi-Commodity Center, and they set up something called the Crypto Center. And till date, they've done over 800 companies that have set up over here. And you know what you mentioned about the UAE being one of the largest ecosystems in Web3 is because we're keeping a track of all the organizations and the people that are coming in. Currently, there's more than 2,100 organizations in Web3, native and non-native, and you have more than 10,000 people working in this space. And this I think is unique. Suzanne, maybe you can add a light to this. Like, if an organization moves into the UAE, within a month you have your license, and within a couple of days you can get a work permit and bring a person into the UAE from around the world. They can find a house, they can get their IDs done, they can get a car, a bank account and stuff, and they'd be ready to run in less than 45 days, right? Whereas, and I know this from Zug, like, you know, getting a visa from somebody, let's say from Mexico, to come in, I'd spend a year getting that visa, and once they do land up in my country, in Zug, when they do end up over there, just for them to find a place to stay is going to be hell, because there isn't anything. And for Dubai, they're still growing, right? They add more than 25,000 units a year, right? Up with 5 different licenses for metaverse, for NFT marketplaces, for proprietary trading, for DLT, for mining, and all. So they're pushing this agenda themselves, which I don't think a lot of other countries are doing. And it's much easier to come over here, set up, and get to business than it is in other places. You'll spend an entire year starting that up, where over here you're ready to go within a couple of months.
I think this is a fantastic point. So I have personally in my interactions quoted Dubai and ADGM. We also at Liminal have a license with ADGM, so we end up speaking about that a lot. But I think this point about being able to just set up everything right from getting there and then starting from scratch. There is so much.
So we set up Binance's first license in the DMCC over here, and within I think 6 months they'd hired more than 600 people.
Wow,
that doesn't happen anywhere else. It's not possible anywhere else.
Yeah. So there is a definite push that governments want to make to try and make the ease of business, as they say. So this is a fantastic example on that.
And then from the association point of view, it helps quite a bit as well, because we were the ones working with the DMCC to set up the licenses. And then you have the licenses and the offices, substantially subsidized so that anyone can come and get a license. Like the Dubai AI and Web3 campus that was set up late last year. You could get a license and a working desk for $5,000.
Wow.
Right, and that's in the
really
financial center.
Nice. Ala, what about you? What are you seeing from your position? Oh,
I don't think
Ala
he's there. He's not here.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to cover him.
What about you? We'll go with you.
Yeah. I think everyone has covered everything. I just like to highlight about the regulations, tax. We have it already in Indonesia in place, right? Regulations and tax. But usually we try to ask them, like, is it really ideal now in Indonesia? Because like what Susan mentioned about the level playing field, our regulators are trying to really have a different kind of enforcement for the registered and the unregistered, for example, crypto exchanges. But it's not really possible to enforce this unregistered one, So I think the point is the competitiveness being for the local players to the global players, right? So that's one thing. I think the other unique challenge in Indonesia is facing the FOMO that usually come from the traders or users. Now it's very interesting in Indonesia that our ministries, our government bodies, they have this FOMO of implementing blockchain in their department, and yes, we are the Web3 association, we believe in the technology, but we usually ask them, like, why using blockchain? It's not that cheap, and we try to really give them the understanding that like, is this really the solution for your issues, something like that. So, but I think there's an opportunity comes from there. We now been doing a lot of training, a lot of even studies with a lot of ministries in Indonesia. So I think that's also a good thing, The other thing is how I think I've been mentioning about Web3 industry, right? I think it's silo now, still in Indonesia. So if you mention about Web3, usually people will still think, oh, I think it's very limited to crypto. So I think the people are not very familiar with decentralization system, and but a good thing is, I think we're facing the transition already. Some of, even our central banks here, they're already trying to understand, oh, there is this product called decentralized finance. Oh, there is this other, products from the decentralized world. So they're trying to understand that. And I think something that we can anticipate is this transition is happening more in Indonesia.
And so there is, in Indonesia, for example, there is the sovereign digital asset exchange that's being planned, right? So do you see that as a highlight? Because I have not heard of any other country, looking at that sort of an approach. Can you maybe touch upon what you see on that front?
Sure. It's a bit different because, yes, I mentioned about crypto exchange, but there's this, because of the policy that we have, and crypto is classified as commodity at the moment. And there should be some kind of a head of all these crypto exchanges. So now we call crypto exchange as crypto exchangers, and this head will be called as crypto exchange. And what they do is basically they just monitoring the transactions that's happening in the crypto exchangers in Indonesia. And but I think what we try to see the positive side of it, right? Since this is commodity, we try to have a derivative product under this crypto exchange. But it's already established, so we already have this crypto exchange, and we already have like crypto-specific clearinghouse, crypto-specific custodian, which are the self-regulatory organizations under our trade ministry. So but also the fun thing is that there will be a transition from our commodity authority to our financial services authority. So crypto is no longer classified as commodity, but now it's part of the financial instrument. So, but there's still, there was still this transition. We hope that this will be done on the early 2025, but there will, until now, there's no specific definition of crypto, being part of the financial instrument, but yeah, we'll see.
Okay. Any challenge that you might want to call out specific to Indonesia that's very unique?
I think, at the moment, it's, again, because of the transitions, there are a lot of things that we think could be, better to be done, but again, still there's this transitions, and also the election. We did the election early this year as well, so it's very hard to really have a discussion with our regulators, because I think they're still waiting until the new cabinet is being established, something like that. So I think that's the issue at the moment.
Fantastic. Ala, welcome back. So very quickly, just to sort of what is that one unique highlight for ADGM, or for Hub 71, so the UAE, I guess in general, Hub 71 cater to the UAE. So one big highlight that you see from your specific vantage point, and possibly one unique challenge that you see in your ecosystem. A little bit about that.
Yeah, I think one challenge would be that the industry and the technology is moving at such a very fast pace that regulators are not really able to keep up very quickly, and then kind of be able to decide where to focus. I think a challenge is that there aren't enough, let's say, smart contract engineers on the regulatory side, or let's say blockchain engineers that kind of guide where we can look at. An opportunity, basically turning that challenge into an opportunity, is that the regulator and the ecosystem is super open to new solutions, especially when they come from legit, well-known and trusted sites. That's kind of being accepted more broadly, and there's a lot of opportunity to really go in and say, okay, this is what we believe that how an ecosystem should look like, how a certain solution can look like. Can we experiment with this within this ecosystem? And that's kind of it. So challenge is on, let's say, on the technical side, really, but the opportunity is on the collaboration side.
Fantastic. All right. I think we're in just about time. We've got 3 minutes left. I think I've had fantastic takeaways from all of you. Any last words before we sort of close the call? So we'll probably start with you, Asi.
Yeah, I think again, I'd like to thank you, Liminal, for this session. I think I'm very happy to connect with all of you, and really work with all these issues, challenges that we're facing. That I believe it's pretty similar from one country to the other, and I think one of the good output of having an association is how our local members can also have a more exposure globally. So we're very happy to connect with all of you.
Fantastic. Susan?
I could just echo the same thing. I think we talk about the community within each association. It's so valuable and so important, both just the information sharing, but also being able to advocate in our local jurisdictions on behalf of all the members. But this community among the associations, I think I just would echo what Asi said, is so important and so valuable. And I too would say I would love to connect more with all of you. And I hope the listeners on the call see the collaboration amongst all of us and the community amongst all the associations as well, and join their local community and join their local association, because it is, then you join a global sort of community as well.
Absolutely. So we've seen the regulators and the governments of the world do the G20 conferences and align, but we also have to, as industry participants, also have that alignment, global alignment. Dilip sir?
Manar, you.
I think his screen is frozen.
Yeah, Manar, was that to me? Sorry, I lost you in a minute. Okay.
Yeah, we lost you.
Yeah,
we can hear you now. Let's continue.
Okay, so first of all, I want to really thank you for that, and I could just say ditto to what the two, Asi and Suzanne said, really. But I think it's important because our regulators are collaborating. They are having regular meetings, and we are not collaborating, right? So I think we should collaborate. And the second thing, and I think you led this initiative, Manar, by you're a member of each of these associations, right? So I think if some of your members are looking at India market or Indonesia market or Abu Dhabi or the UAE market, just please connect them to all of us. We'll be happy to actually take that forward. And I think we should just exchange positions, right, very regularly, because I think we work with let's say the EU association, the Canadian association. We have a little work with the Australian association. And frankly, one of the challenges that we are trying to overcome is that some of the blockchain groups are trying to say that blockchain is not necessarily a token. And you can actually do that without a token. You don't need a token just to get and that's not really a permissionless, decentralized kind of a system. So if we can align on some of these things ourselves and propagate the same view across different jurisdictions, it will actually lead to a better outcome for us.
With a much larger voice, with a much more strong
Much larger voice, yeah.
Faisal,
Well, I don't need to repeat what all of them have said. We all feel the same way, and just two words, and that defines why associations are important. Why our association together is more important. You're stronger together. That's the gist of all of this.
Fantastic. I'm sure Ala will also have the same thing to say. Thank you so much, all of you, for all the wonderful insights and for sharing those unique experiences. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I hope to see more of you very regularly now, as we'll keep collaborating more in the future. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mahal. Thanks. Oh, let's keep in touch.
Yeah.